Super Soul Sisters, and we are having another amazing episode here at Daughterish Exclusive. My name is Florena Kajumba, and we have our Super Soul Sister today, who is Violet Kabasindi Kiberu, and of course she's a politician. She's in finance. She's basically in all aspects you'd expect her to be in. She's also a scientist. And of course, women like these are women we want to bring to you here on Super Soul Sisters. And I am privileged to get to meet you today and have a conversation with you. Because quite often, there's so much out there, but people don't really know who the real Violet Kabasindi is. So, but thank you for making time.
Most welcome.
Yes. So let's just jump straight into it, because people are probably anxiously waiting. When we are talking about Violet Kabasindi Kiberu, who are we talking about?
Okay, thank you so much, Kajumba. Violet Kabasindi Kiberu is a firstborn of Mr. and Mrs. Kiberu of Hoima City. And has a number of siblings.
Okay.
You know, we are Africans, and in Africa, we don't count children for men and women. I started up from Hoima Public Primary School. It's in Hoima, up to P4.
Okay.
But when I reached P4, my parents realized, this one staying in a day school, she's going to be worse. I had a very close friend and a cousin called Mary Violet Kajumba, actually. She was actually called Mary Kajumba.
Okay.
But because we are so short and of the same height, and we almost looked alike, so people could not differentiate who is Violet, who is Mary.
Yes.
So for her up to today, she added on Mary Violet, and she's called Mary Violet. So I was so stubborn. You know, this was a mixed school, and would not take it. If you are a boy and you come to disturb us, man, you would know who we are. So most of the time we would fight at school, fight along the road, until my parents said, actually both parents, her parents and my parents, agreed to take us to boarding schools.
Yes.
And so we separated. I went to Duhaga Girls Primary School, and she went to Nyamigisa Girls Primary School.
To separate you.
To separate us from a day school where we were so stubborn to boarding schools single. So you can imagine you've been in a day school and you're joining a boarding school single. You go there and then you're the celebrity of that time. Yes, because you can talk, you can do anything. So P4, I joined Duhaga Girls Primary School up to P7. I was in the choir, I was a prefect, I was a dorm prefect, I was the deputy head girl, I was everything. I could help young girls. You know, even in primary, by the way, it's only today that teasing is going down. But during our time, they would tease and tease to the maximum. So one scenario that I remember when I joined the boarding school, you know, in the night, the girls switch off the lights to scare. You know, during our time, they used to call them kabalabanda. That ghosts are coming. So they switched off the lights. Day one of my boarding school in primary 4. And people started shouting, you know, the new people, the new girls. I got off my bed. I don't know how I did it, but I got off my bed. And you remember, I think they plan it.
They do.
That you
definitely
go, switch off, stay there for about maybe 30 minutes. We pour water on this girl's bed. We beat them. Man, for me, they came to beat me. I was not in bed. I was already crawling, going to where the switch was. And I find this girl on the switch. Whatever happened that night, it's history. And from that day up to today, if you ask any person during our time of Duhaga Girls, they will tell you, Kabasindi. Let me say it in Runyoro, because the name Kabasindi, you're putting a lot of English in it. They call it Kabasindi.
Okay.
So you say, Kabasindi. That one, don't joke with her. So, by God's grace, I got an 8.
Oh, it's good.
Yes.
That's good.
When I got an 8, and during our time, Chebambe Girls was up there. So I joined Chebambe Girls Secondary School in S1. And during those days, it would take us about 2 days to travel from Hoima to Fort Portal. You travel from Hoima, sleep over Kagadi, then after the next day you go to Fort Portal. So when I joined S1, first time, we were there, I was not the type of girl that they would tease.
Okay.
First of all, I would make friendship. I would ensure that, and up to today, I tell my children, if you want to add value to a new environment, if it is a school, there are 4 things that you don't have to miss out.
Yeah.
You don't have to miss out on the gate man. Don't miss out on the matron. Don't miss out on the mess prefect, that is the dining prefect. And maybe also a teacher of the opposite sex. Do you know why? Girls, we normally feel free. It is in us, it is inborn. You feel free to a boy or what. So if this is a male teacher, you can kind of confine in him. So my S1, I was in Baxter. Baxter people. When we were in S1, first time was okay. Second time, I think the big girls, our elders, realized that the feeding was not okay in our school. And may her soul rest in peace. Our headmistress then, Mrs. Triaikayo, they organized a strike in S1. And the viola you're seeing, the Kabasindi you're seeing, was among the ringleaders.
You were only in senior 1.
Senior 1. I was among the ringleaders. Because remember, I was already from a boarding school.
Yes.
And here I come in a secondary school where I expect we are going to eat well, we are going to have a better life. And you find the beans are not okay, everything was not okay. So S4s, S6s started, people, this food is not good, what can we do? They tried to talk, of course, the leaders then, they tried to talk to the administration, but they couldn't hear us. So we said, tonight, we are not going to eat. They are going to bring the food. We shall ensure we pour it to the cooks and ABCD. So they started picking students from every class.
Yes.
And when they came to S1X, because during our time you would move from S1 up to S4X.
Okay.
Viola was there. And I was like, yes, we need good food. So it was a team of about 20 people.
20 people, yes.
And in this one, I remember we had 2 major girls, myself and Jackie Sabiti. Jackie Sabiti stays in Entebbe. I know she's there. So we organized a strike. What happens? During supper time, they rang the bell. At around 7 there, we said, okay. We started shouting, called everyone on board, went to the dining, threw the food. Remember, the school doesn't know. The headmistress was sleeping some meters off the school. So by the time the teachers tried to come together and what, my dear, it's already a mess.
I can imagine.
So, long story short, they had to close the school second term. And they said, we already know the people that participated and we are going to expel them. And I want to tell the young girls down there, you need to be bright, active at all times. That's when I started remembering that I had gone alone at school. I said, hey, Viola, now, if I go now, and you go with a letter showing that you've been expelled from school in S1 and you're among the ringleaders. So what I did, I went to the headmistress alone. That is the time I realized that I had gone to school alone. I told him, Amoti, we used to call her Amoti. Amoti, I have come to repent. What's wrong with you, Viola? He said, I have come to repent. You know, I was among the main people.
So she didn't even know you.
She didn't even know. You know, it was very hard to
So the
expect
guilt,
an S
yes.
in me. It was very hard to expect an S1 girl to be
be a
among
part,
the
yeah.
ringleaders. So I told her, Amoti, I have come to repent. I was part of this, and the girls of Chebambe, if you know you're among the ringleaders, that was the time they go to know everyone.
So you're the one
So,
who went.
yes, I went and told her, you know, so and so, so and so, please forgive me. My daddy will kill me if I go back to Bunyoro. And remember, those are 2 days.
2 days, yes.
If I go back home, they will kill me. She looked at me and said, now, Kabasindi, you, people were talking about you, but you know, I can't believe it. So what do we do? I told her, Amoti, I am ready. Give me any punishment that you want.
Don't take me
But
back
please
home.
don't send me home. Then she said, okay. She called in the secretary and told her, we are not going to expel Violet. And even the girls, when they come back with their parents, we shall listen to them. So if you know you are among the ringleaders, you were saved because of Viola. So what happened was, of course, the whole school was going to close. They expelled us. They closed the school for 2 weeks, and we had to go back. So in the process, after she called in the secretary, I realized, now it is this one who is writing the lists of everyone. Said, you know, we need to get a very good punishment for these ones that were ringleaders. After seeing the headmistress, I went now to the secretary. In this one, that is one thing that I will never forget. And I told this lady, they have all died, may their souls rest in peace. I told her, do you know what? You are the very first person I saw when I came to school with my auntie. Please, don't give me a harsh punishment. Give me a punishment that is not so harsh. Please. And make sure I don't come back with auntie. You saw my auntie, you saw how serious she was.
You were convincing her.
I convinced her. Then they agreed. Those of us that were ringleaders, we came back a week before the whole school. And of course, you'd come back with parents, and then they see what they are going to do. But trust Violet. Violet stayed in school. And the punishment they gave me, of course, during that time, we used to call them hard labors.
Yeah.
Yes. You're going for hard labor. And whenever they would give hard labor, they would ensure that you work within the administration block.
So that they can monitor
everybody
you.
can see you.
Oh.
Now I go back to my secretary. And I'm like, Mommy, really, you want me to be part? Sabit, I remember they also gave you hard labor. But if you remember very, very well, for me, they gave me hard labor back in those, I think it was Maddox, one of those, or Pike House, one of those houses behind there, to slash and dig. So when I started digging, and you know what? These guys were my friends. They would come and say, hey, Viola, now, bakwerize kikwinga nanka, that is in Ultoro now. I would say from there to there, you know, every day they would give you a portion. So the second day, I planned with these young, the casual laborers, they agreed. They said, we shall come very early in the morning, dig for you and slash, such that by the time 9, 10, when those people come, they will find when you are about to reach.
Finish, yes. So
the following day, they came very early, 5, you can imagine. That is an S1 kid befriending this old man or woman. They came, dug for me, slashed for me. By the time it reached 9, man,
you had finished.
I went to the office saying, Amot, me, I have finished. I said, really? I said, yes. Amot, I woke up so early in the morning because I don't want to miss out class. You remember, when you're doing hard labor, people are already in class.
That is true. That is quite interesting, really. So I'm asking myself, how you were before even going to school, or if your siblings felt like you were a little too much for them and things like that.
Yes. like I've said, I'm the firstborn. And our family was a typical African family. So one, as an elder in the family, as the firstborn, still, I had to ensure that all the other siblings do their work, and
So
in the end,
you
they
made
also
yourself
do.
supervisor.
I made myself a supervisor. And up to now at home, I'm called a commander or a police officer, or they know when I'm there, things will work
Things
out.
will work out, definitely.
I kept on as a stubborn child. And I remember I had this Mr. our biology teacher. This guy knew I was so stubborn. So he would ensure that whenever he comes to class, I'm in front. Not to disorganize the other students,
yes, yeah.
and concentrate also. So as soon as he would enter class, during our time, those biology labs and chemistry labs, they had these long rulers,
Yes,
the
yes.
wooden long rulers. So he would come and say, Kabasindi, come and sit here. Every time that man would enter class, he would beat me. I hated him. I disliked him. I didn't concentrate with biology, and I think it's the only thing that I didn't perform well.
And quite often people don't realize that these things affect the students or someone at a younger age.
I know. But eventually we met when I was working actually in the bank. When I was an old woman, I met her and told him, Master, you made me fail biology. Of course, he couldn't remember. I told him, you remember every time you'd come to class, you'd beat me, everything. So I failed biology. I think I told him, I hope you're not doing that. He said, no, Viola, no, I'm an inspector, I'm a supervisor. I said, tell your other teachers. Because I failed biology because of you. And I will live to tell it even to my grandchildren.
That was a bold one. That was very bold.
That was bold. So, yes.
Did that affect your decisions? Yes.
As a young girl and the firstborn in the family, much as I was stubborn, I ensured everything was done on time and in order. And I want to tell all the young girls there, if you have any sibling, even if you are alone, make sure everything is done on time. Going to fetch water, I remember one time we delayed and our dad came back and sent us to the well at 8 p.m.
Wow.
And when we were coming back, my sister was bitten by a snake. And from that time, our dad had to, to bring in water at home.
Does this affect your choices in the future? For example, you said you hated biology.
Yes. By that time, of course, I finished S4. I had now grown. And I would ensure that I guide my young ones well.
So now, when you finish your O-level, yes, you've told us that, the biology was not something really that you're interested in and focused on math. Where do you go now and what do you choose to do for your A-level?
After O-level, I was admitted to Wairaka College.
But that's a long way.
Yes, from Hoima to Jinja. But as I was going to pick my admission, was it the admission, something, to see the school for the first time, we got an accident, a terrible accident.
Sorry.
And in that taxi, I remember, I think about 7 people died. And so my daddy said no.
Which year is this?
That was 1991. I finished 1991 S4. So that was 1992 early. As we were going, we had a neighbor. May his soul rest in peace also. He also died that very day.
Oh, dear.
Like I told you, wherever I would go, Viola, I would want people to see me and know me. So when I went to go to be in a taxi, I sat in front of the taxi. And this neighbor comes and says, Mharawange, you can't sit in front when I am behind. Let's exchange. I'm going to sit here, you can sit behind. Oh, wow. So he took me in the second last place where he was. And when these guys were shooting, of course, they threw a tree on the road and then started shooting from the front.
Wait, what happened? This was
He died.
some sort of attack, and then
It was, yes, it was an attack. And so
they were
this-
trying to rob people.
Yes, during that time they would. And if you go on Hoima Road now, the present government ordered that they cut all the trees around that area. So what is there now are the
So they
artificial...
cut down a tree to stop.
Yes, to stop the taxi coming, and then they threw that tree, they started shooting, coming towards the taxi. So that's how they killed other people, and a few of us survived. And I had to trek about almost 22 miles inside the villages without knowing until I reached home.
That was traumatizing. You're on the second last seat. How did you go around that? Coming out of...
All I remember...
What happened? How did you deal with that?
Of course, when they started shooting, I think the driver also died. The people in front died, all of them.
Oh,
then the
dear.
taxi had to fall. Of course, everyone was running for his or her dear life.
So it was basically stepping on one another, scrambling.
But these guys, they would continue to shoot. So being in the last seat, the mirror, the screen behind the
Shutters.
taxi, yes. And that's where most of us passed. And we survived about 7 people. That is also one thing that I will not forget. And yes, so I joined.
And you were young, really, to
Yes.
experience something
Yes,
like
so
that.
I joined Makere High School at the school.
So you didn't make it to
I didn't
to
make
Wairaka?
it. No.
You said, let me go back home.
I went back home. And,
I'm not taking that route again.
Yes. And my dad was like, now you will not go there. Let's look for another school. And of course, during our time, someone who was in Kampala would look at you like, yes. So I was like, Daddy, I need to study from Kampala. Say, will you manage? And remember, it was already, most schools had already admitted.
Yeah.
So that's how I ended up at Makere High in a day school.
Okay. So now you're in Kampala, but you're in a day school.
Yes.
How do you handle that? Because now you're not home. You're not there to be monitored, or you say, from here I go home. Relatives, or how did you handle this?
Yes. I was coming from Chebando to Makere High in a taxi, and in Chebando there is a man, I think, who has just left taxi driving. He's called Tom. May God really give him a lot of success and life that he needs. His taxi normally used to take students. He just thought of it and said, okay, morning hours, I'll be taking, I'll focus on students, Chitante, Makere High, up to town, even in the evening. To the extent that some of us, for example, maybe I would leave Makere High, instead of going to Wandegeya and board from Wandegeya back home, I would first go to the park, look for Tomu's taxi to ensure that there I'm safe.
That's true.
So during that time, of course, when you've been in a boarding school, there are a lot of challenges in a day school, and to the parents that have their children in day schools, please make those children your friends.
Yeah.
There is a lot, especially to the girl child. You're going to school, maybe as you're entering, this man is saying this boy is saying this. You know, even the students themselves, if you're not sure, you can be involved in so many groups that are not okay. But Makere High, yes, Mr. Njagala also died of recent.
Okay.
His soul rest in peace. He was quite serious with us.
So now, who are you living with? Because now you've left your family back in Hoima, you're in Kampala now. It must have been scary.
Yes, it was scary, but Kampala, you know, Kampala has a lot of our relatives.
Yes,
Our aunties, our mothers, our uncles. And I started off with Meg. I had this teacher still teaching us mathematics. And time reached when he really was so serious. I remember the class had about 30, if I'm not mistaken, not more than 50.
Okay.
But when you start doing these combinations, PCB, PEM, what, time reaches, people start, you know, going to arts by themselves.
Yeah.
Here
Slowly.
you're here, they are
People
beating
change.
you. They are doing everything. I finished off S5 when I was doing MEG.
Okay.
But when it came to S6, this math teacher was, I've forgotten the name, he would beat everyone. If you're not going to perform, if you my class does not, you get below 50, he beats you, he does this. I got off mathematics, went to DEG in S6.
Oh my goodness.
And during S6 time, of course, now the moving, the what, I requested my dad to take me to a hostel. So you can see the Violet who is independent now.
Now, yes.
And I'm telling you, as a firstborn of an African family, you know, our home,
all the pressure is on you.
Our home, we used to have about almost like 30 to 50 children.
Ooh.
Yes. Because my dad is one person who would welcome almost everyone. So I joined a hostel in Essex. And I want to tell you, parents, I want to see directly into the camera. If you have a hostel kid, please check on them. Love them, follow them. Because I am telling you, I think that is the time we started going out dancing.
After changing a combination,
you
by
know,
the way,
you
that
change a combination, you are candidates, you are in a hostel. And you remember during our time, our hostels would have summer career students from the university.
So you forgot that you're just
every time there's a dance at campus, you want to go there. So you can imagine what happened during that time.
Yeah.
Yes, but thank God I sat. I didn't perform so well as expected
because you changed.
I changed the combination.
And you're starting all over.
And I'm starting all over. Now there is no one following me. You know, dancing, doing this, but thank God. The Christianity in me, the God in me would at times pull me back.
And say,
hey,
don't.
No, that's too much. So when I did not perform so well, my daddy said, you are the firstborn. There are two options. Either repeat S6 and from a different school here in Haima, or you're going to pay for yourself. I'm not going to waste money.
And you see, parents at the time was
dear.
Definitely.
And after my S6, I have a colleague, a friend, Mahorosi Jennifer. During my vacation, she got me a job, so I was in a caretaker away. It is still there up to today in Mulago. So somehow I had money.
You were like, yeah.
And I'm like, Daddy, me to repeat S6?
I can imagine that conversation.
Said, I am saying you have no option. If you're going to pay for yourself, then you go. Or else you repeat. Of course, the money I had was not enough
to pay, yeah.
And remember the statement he first said, you are the firstborn. Which example are you giving to your young ones?
Yeah.
You know, you've been a model to many of them. So I repeated S6. From
in Hoima?
Satito, Winyi. And when I repeated, remember, the truth is I repeated when I didn't want to repeat.
That is true.
So I would at times attend class, at times not. And remember, now you're from Kampala, you feel like we have taken you back to this village school. And I want to tell the girls, if you are a girl, reach a time and compose yourself. I reached that time and I was like, no, what is the next step? In the first time I had gotten 8 points. The second time I think I got 6. I told my dad I request to go back to Kampala and continue with my work, you know, as a firstborn. And he said, who has told you I don't have the money to pay for you? I said, okay, can I please go? Long story short, they allowed.
Oh, that's good.
I came back to Kampala, started working again. Because I was working, I didn't think of joining immediately. I said, let me first make money. So, people started, institutions started when I was busy working. And my dad, you know, during that time, these phones were not there.
Yes, that is true.
It had to be a landline. Then he's like, iwe byokusoma okabiwaho nandi. And I said, there is school also. So what happened was, he said, I am ready to pay your school fees, but I'm not going to look for you at school.
You look for yourself.
Look for it. So I started running around the universities. Remember, people have already started.
Yeah.
They could not admit me. I went to Nkumba finally. They said, even if we are admitting you, we shall admit you at a diploma level. Because people have, they had already started almost 2 months there. I said, it is okay. I went to daddy. Yes, went home, told them. He gives me school fees.
Okay. So we'll continue from there shortly. But of course, just a quick reminder here is that we're here at Daughters Exclusive. And of course, they're giving us this amazing space that we're using. And with us here, Super Soul Sister is Violet Kabasindi. Kabasindi.
Yes. In that accent. When you say Kabasindi, then I will know. But when you say Kabasindi,
yes,
I don't know you're from.
And of
the
course,
original
she's
place.
telling us a story. Now, many of us tend to forget that what our childhood has been like quite often shapes us. The environment we come from quite often shapes us, but also our personalities and characters shape us. So when you put all those things together, you know, at the end of the day, now we have a Violet Kabasindi. Now we'll be back to bring you a lot more here on Super Soul Sisters. Don't go away. Violet Kabasindi here with me on Super Soul Sisters. Well, I'm getting it right now.
Yes.
And
indeed.
of course, we're having a very interesting conversation. Just a reminder, Daughters Exclusive has given us this amazing space just on Ginger Road here. Many of you might have known it as Spear House and still Spear House. You cannot get lost. It's very accessible. You find everything that you need to find. Now, Honorable, let's go back. Now you've said, let me look for a university. No one can take you. Kumba says the best we can do for you is diploma. This did not discourage you at all.
No, it did not. I said it's okay because remember I had moved. I think by then there was Makerere University. There was Ndeje. I think I'd also started. There were about 3 universities, and then you're here. They've toshed you up and said, no, we are not taking you. And then you find one who is saying, please come in. So when I joined the university, of course, that is the time maybe we had also started by friendship. Yes. I've told you, I found when they had already started 2 months. So even the halls in Nkumba were full. And I had a friend who allowed to accommodate me. But remember, you at the university or an institution sleeping with someone. I think I slept there for about a month. And I was like, no, this one is not going to work for me. So I rented.
It's good to experience these things.
Yes. I rented near the school. There were some houses around the school. I rented. And this time, remember, I had learnt a lesson in my A level. You either study or you lose your future. Because I went back to my mathematics, business administration in accounting. This time I was much more responsible. Much as I was a day scholar and had all the freedom, I had already experienced what freedom does in my S6. So I was more
cautious,
this time. Indeed, I studied well, completed my campus, and of course started looking for jobs. That is now 1998.
Yes.
So the Viola, you see, people always think I'm so young, but I am a good
look
adult.
young.
I am a good adult.
You're
An African one.
So now when you finish and start looking for a job, you didn't go back to try and work as you study.
I would.
While at university?
During holidays I would work.
Okay.
I would work. And I want to tell you, my parents would only pay my fees.
Okay.
The rest of the things, it was myself. I have hustled. I told you I was working in a takeaway. After my diploma,
yes,
When I went back home, I also started renting. I started going to Kalere at 4 in the morning. So I would see these village women waking up around. I rented around Chebando. By the time you wake up, me around 6:30, they are back, and you're buying their tomatoes, you're buying their onions. And I was like, I sat one of them. I said, tell me what happens. She said, we go there, you can go with like a 5,000. When you sell, you get your 20K. I said, oh, so there is money here.
There is money, yes.
And for me, I go to work, I have to be there by 8. So what would I do? I would wake up early in the morning, go with these women. You're tracking their trees, their what, you walk from Chebando up to Kalere. We buy these things. If they are a lot, maybe you get someone with a bicycle, they take them home. If they are not, you put them on the head in Essex. Now I had finished.
Yeah.
By the way, I've finished my diploma. And I had an auntie. So I would tell her, you'll sell for me these ones. And by 8, I'm already in a takeaway. I would attend most of the women meetings and ABCD. So there was this friend, Mrs. Kajimu, who was a friend to my mother. My mother is a nurse, and now she's a tutor. And when my mother told her that my girl had finished and she doesn't have a job, she said, okay, I will look for a job for her.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm already working. I have 2 jobs, by the way.
Yes, you wake
because
up
I'm
in the morning.
a takeaway and I have the other income as well. She called us. Come with your mom over the weekend. We reached and she said, on Monday, you're going for an interview.
Oh, that was nice. That was really nice.
And asked me where was the interview going to be. First Lady's office.
Ooh.
From this other girl, young girl, going to Kalere, getting those things, being in a takeaway. Now you're going to do an interview.
How did that feel like for you? Weren't you scared? Weren't you anxious or anything? Or deep down you're like, okay.
I have always been confident of myself. I've always been strong. But of course they tell you, in case you go through, if you pass the interview, you have to be a disciplined girl, you have to love God, the ethics of our First Lady.
Yes.
But this was a project under her office.
Okay.
So I went, I find these ladies.
Which project was this?
It's a national strategy for the advancement of rural women in Uganda.
Okay.
And that was among the first projects that the First Lady did. Yes, alongside Weso. So I go on a Monday, I'm interviewed, and they're like, we want you to become our accounts assistant.
Oh, wow.
Will you manage? I said, yes, I will manage. That is now 1998. I couldn't work with the takeaway anymore, and even getting up so early and going, of course, they had increased my money to some level where I was comfortable. So I became an accounts assistant in that office, and I became one of their first credit officers. Remember, it was advancement of rural women in Uganda. So I took up on Piggy. That's where the pilot project was. I'm encouraging these women to go and bank in the women bank. Yes. So when I would go there, these managers would see me. I said, this young lady working with these old women, and they are seeing the accounts grow and do what. So in 2001, they said, Viola, we are going to advertise. Would you wish to join the bank? Now, First Lady, bank.
That must have been quite...
to make that decision. Because when you go to the bank, if you're a young lady, a young girl, you're seeing how these bankers behave, how you're like, I need this experience as well. I resigned.
You're kidding. Now, that's the toughest thing for anyone.
Yes.
choosing
And,
where you...
choosing where you want to go. But remember the environment, the other side, it's army guys, you know.
Yeah, it was a
The
bit...
office is all the time. And so you're like, maybe let me try out also this other side. And
see
in
how
the
it
bank.
goes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I joined the bank.
Oh, wow.
And when we joined, they had opened up a bank in Bushenyi Shaka. And they said, okay, Viola, we were about 5 or 6 girls. And they said, you go there. But I said, it's okay, I can work anywhere. Because remember, even when I was with the First Lady, I would go to Mpigi, I would go to Kabale, go to Mbarara. So I joined the Shaka branch. You know, I love the community. I love seeing someone grow. You know, finding her in a status, and then maybe 1 year, 2 years, she tells you, this house you're seeing is a result of the loan you gave me. This business you're seeing is a result of this.
Yeah.
Before I knew it, I was promoted.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, and now, you know, I became one of the persons that would keep the bank keys of the strong room. And if I give you keys of the strong room, even
That's pressure.
even if it's your sister, even if it's your husband or your mother, you do not sleep. Remember, these are 2 keys. One must have someone else and another one someone else. But somehow you're thinking, maybe my colleague told people
that I'm the one with the
you
keys.
know. And every time, every morning, you have to count. And during our time, the machines had not yet come. So you have to count money manually. So you...
To make sure.
To make sure what you left in is what is still in.
That was a hard responsibility.
And so that means you had to come to the bank early.
Real early, yes.
Before the others reach. Such that by 8, you're set.
When did you become a mother?
Like I said, in...
you did point out at that point now
in
you...
1993, when I joined A level, I started seeing this young, handsome boy.
At the time.
At that time.
Yeah.
And we stayed together to the extent that my parents also got to know that this is the boy. Yes. So around 95, he's like, 96, he's like, hey, what is happening? You know, we need a baby, you know what is going on. And so I did not get a baby myself. I told him I'm still young and ABCD, maybe you try someone else. And that's when I got my first baby, around 96.
Okay.
When I was a young girl.
You were adopted?
Yes. That's why I told you we have...
It's good to...
I have many children.
Because you were not ready at the time.
Yes.
And
so,
this did not treat him bad or...
No. Actually, the baby we got was his.
All right.
So, I get a baby in 2000.
Yours now? Okay.
In 2000. And while working, while moving on motorcycles, while doing everything. Actually, I remember 3 weeks to delivery, the doctor said, you're either going to deliver this baby on the road. Remember now you're going to
go home and relax.
Or you go home and relax. So 3 weeks to delivery, I relaxed. Yes.
Okay,
and it was...
And this is with the same person?
Yes.
Hey, okay.
Yeah,
this is a good twist to the story because most people would be like, But I get from where you're coming from. You say, I need to work. Maybe you had your doubts here and there.
Yes.
So now you have your first baby in 2000. You're still under the project, the First Lady?
Yes, yes.
No, but the young baby, the new job, the moving to another place altogether. Okay.
And being a married person, you know this is now Kampala and Bushenyi.
You have to move.
So you have to come back every weekend and ensure you're with your sweetheart. So
make sure things are in good shape.
Exactly.
And then
so in total we have 5 children.
Oh, it's good. That's good.
Yes, and plus the many children that I do have.
So you
Yes.
picked on, see, it does, at the end, you picked on what was
Yes,
normal in
yes,
your home,
yes,
you know,
yes.
taking in
And
children.
even in my marriage, I remember I would go to the bedroom maybe with my husband during Christmas time, and he's like, "Naye abana nga bangi." I'm like, my dear, first of all, you need to remember that you married a firstborn. If you are firstborn, you are a young mother.
That is true.
And if you are a young mother, that means your home will also be full of children.
So when do you say, okay, I need to move from this point to the next?
When I was in the bank, I think I'd worked there 1 year, and they said, everybody, to be an officer, you must have a degree. And here I was with a diploma.
And now, the bank says you
Degree.
need to have a degree for you to be
Yes.
an officer.
So what I did, I enrolled for a degree without their knowledge. I
the moment
enrolled
they
for a
know.
weekend program. You have to travel from Ishaka, come to see your children, go to school. Before the bank knew it, I had a degree.
Degree.
And everyone was like, when did you study
Right.
this?
Because the moment they knew there was going to be a problem.
Yes.
You have a degree.
Now I
Shocker.
have a degree, shocker. And the time I got a degree, I had already moved on. When I was in the First Lady's office, there was Her Excellence, retired Mrs. Angelina Wapakabulo, noticed me. While I was still in the First Lady's office, and then eventually, of course, we were family friends. She was going to start up a project called Market Vendors AIDS Project. And then she calls me while I was still in the bank and says, Viola, we need an accountant. Please, there is this project that is coming on. Would you like to join us? And this was at the initial stages. We want someone to come in, show us what we need in the books of accounts, how to come up with the request forms, the invoices, come up, do the budget, what. So I said, it's okay, ma'am. I am ready. So I was like, if I'm going to join this project and I am still in the bank, what am I going to do? So I started now talking to my bosses in Finance Trust. So I came a long time ago. I have been in branches in the villages. Why don't you shift me? No, 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 no.
Yes, you were looking for something, really.
So they took me to Lugazi branch. So when we were in the Lugazi branch, I want to tell you, I would work up to 5, move from Lugazi to Kampala.
That was nearer.
Go to Mama Angelina's office, start initiating this project. Leave that place almost at midnight. Or would even sleep there. 2005, I resigned from the bank.
Because now you have so many things going. You've been there for quite some time.
Yes, and this project, you know, it was, they had okayed it with the Royal Norwegian Ministry of Foreign Affairs. And now, remember now the bank had strictly confined me to the bank, doing more accounts. They couldn't believe it because I had just shifted. I think I shifted in December 2004. Around still April, March, I was telling them I am leaving.
I have to go, yes.
So I joined the project. This was now an HIV/AIDS project. And this time it was in the informal sectors.
Okay.
Not only being informal, but in markets.
In markets, aye.
Owino,
yes, I've heard
Nakasero,
of that.
Kalere, where people in the markets used to think they were bewitched.
Oh dear.
And during that time, you know, with HIV, people were used, you know, being victimized so they would not come out. So we are in this market now, and we are telling them, please, you're not bewitched. Please go and test. Please use a condom. You know, in markets, there are young girls.
That's true.
There are young boys. I'm telling you, you're seeing Mama Angelina Wapakabulo with all the caliber she has. She had to go down. And because of that, we have helped so many women, so many girls. We had eventually the project moved to other districts. We started with Kampala, then we moved to other districts. And our niche was the woman.
So when do you now jump into the political space? You've been dealing with people, fine, you've had, I mean, throughout your story, if anyone has seen, you've been very vocal, you've been very involved, very active.
We used to discuss with my husband. At some point he would say, but you know you can make a good honorable member.
Yes. So your husband put the idea in your head, I'm thinking. Yes. Most men would be like, yeah, the day I see you being a politician. So how come?
Let me tell you, I moved the ladders up to the executive director position, and I continued working, moving here and there. However, around 2016, 2017 there, I felt sick. And I want to say bravo to the doctors and my colleagues, you know, my bosses at that time, that they left a mop in me. In 2016. We had agreed to have a last born. You can imagine, eh?
Yes.
But eventually, I got an ectopic. And as they were operating, they left a mop in me.
Oh dear.
Which lasted for the whole year. Time reached and they said, no, we have to take you to Nairobi. So the Nairobi doctors at Aga Khan Hospital requested for a surgeon's report, a physician report, a gynae report. There were about 3-4 reports. Until this physician, Dr. Pio, may God bless you, said, whatever they're going to do in Nairobi, we can do. The only difference that I am going to do now, I am going to take you to theater, but we are not going to put you to sleep. We are first going to clean you while you are awake, and we shall put you to sleep at the time we'll see that you really need to sleep.
To sleep, yeah.
So you can imagine, we agreed, did everything. They took me to Chirudu, and that was the time Chirudu had gotten one of the good machines from the Egyptians. Thank you, my government NRM.
Yes.
As they were cleaning and whatnot, that's when this doctor said, give me a scissor, I'm feeling something here that I'm not going through. And when they cut, it's a piece of a mob. And then they said, whoo! That's when they called Nakasero very quickly and said there is an emergency. They operated, took my intestines out. So the whole of 2017, my intestines were out. And bravo to my family, they looked after me so well. 2018, they take them back, but you know, I am feeling the pain. Eventually, I get hernia. Even NSSF, they had to give me my money. Went to South Africa for treatment and ABCD. Now I'm Viola once again. 2020, the government was giving cities, and I think Hoima was supposed to be the last given the city in 2021. But eventually they give us the city in 2020. And in between there, I was moving in and out of the Prime Minister's office. By then, Rakana Rugunda, and people identified, they said, oh, Viola, of course I would tell them from Hoima ABCD. Said, why don't you join and become one of the participants there? Then eventually I have family friends of the Mogenyis. They also called and said, Viola, is this. And I want to tell you, I registered. I think I was the last person to register even at the NRM secretariat. But of course, them in Hoima, they were like, you mean Chiveru has this daughter who is this big, and you know? I said, yes. And before I knew it, I was an NRM flag bearer for Hoima City. Remember, I was an executive director before, and I resigned because when you're going to become an MP, they tell you to resign. There is already someone else. And I am here without a job, without what? I sat down again and said, Viola, what next?
Yes, because I was going to say after that then, you know.
I went to the secretariat. Before going there, I called in my colleague, who is Honorable Junjura of Chikuve. We agreed. Can we mobilize the NRM flag bearers that lost out? Move as a group Of course, we have already seen challenges that are in our districts. We know most of our districts are lacking sensitization. We know that youths are lacking ABCD. Can we form something?
Form a group, yes.
The meeting of the two people, myself and Honorable Junjura, we now have an NRM association called NRM Flag Bearers outside Parliament 2021-2026. Of course, I cannot fail to say that, yes, our chairman, our president, we need to see you. Right now, as we talk, the province of Shandong in China.
Which you are a representative of.
I am a representative.
Congratulations.
I'm the country representative of Shandong Foreign Trade Vocation College. I'm now a member of also the audit committee, finance. I didn't tell you that I hold a master's in finance.
Oh yes, we did talk about it before.
Yes, and they have put me on the EB region of Uganda. There's about 30 districts. And looking forward to working with them because they've just told me maybe some days back.
Yeah.
So like yes.
And this goes to say that sometimes we are used to a certain path. Now here you are holding your master's degree for someone that was just maybe, yeah, let's take you, but for a diploma,
I know,
you know? And quite often people lose hope. We should not lose hope. We should keep pushing. And I do appreciate you making time for us, Honorable Violet Kabasindi.
Yes, you're right.
And thank you so much for your time.
Most welcome.
Super Soul Sisters, Rowena Kajumba is my name. Until next time, bye.